let's get to Thursday night football with the Buccaneers as they're going to go on and take on the Buffalo Bills on Thursday night. Here with the Bills, there is even a 10 out there, but I think we're looking at mostly nines, 9.5s, especially now that we get the word just about 30 minutes before the start of the show here that Baker Mayfield will be in there tonight. He had an injury designation. That was his issue coming into the game. So Werner says already, oh, where did it open? And I think for the most part, I think no lower than 7, it feels like to me in this. Circa opened at 7.5. Let me see if I see any earlier openers than that. And, um, I don't know if it's necessarily about any subtle line movement here. I mean, I don't think there's been any true steam necessarily or any injury related information about it. Maybe it's just the fact that the Bills, they have regained a certain amount of form, but they don't seem to be, you know, overly dominating. They've had some good performances, obviously. Like I said, they've actually come back a little bit to where we were questioning were they truly over the top as far as Super Bowl contender with Kansas City, and Allen started to make all those mistakes, and then they reeled him in. He dialed it back a little bit, right? I think we all can suffer from that a little bit. Think you're invincible, and Allen, we know, has always been that kind of guy that kind of went out there and was kind of on the edge. And we know to be a true champion, you got to have that just amount of right control in every situation. Kind of what makes Mahomes so special, right? He always looks like everyone else is in panic mode, and he's got just the right bit of, uh, pace to the game to make guys miss, to get the pass off, or whatever it may be. But here, the Bills, I'm not sure they're gonna have that ability to get that double digits. The Buccaneers, we know, I think we specialize in defense, right? Uh, Mayfield, yes, gunslinger mentality, uh, but still, for the most part, dinker dunker. Um, he actually can dial it back himself to a certain extent, and that's where Mayfield actually is the best. Again, when uh, the factor with Mayfield, and maybe why this game will end up being a cover, is his ability to get that backdoor cover right. It's funny. If they were down 6 in a game with the last possession, Baker maybe throws an interception, game over. If they're down 9 points or 10 or 11 and they're in a backdoor cover mode, that's when you want Baker Mayfield. He'll take you right down the field and score. I mean, you know how it works. You guys know it's not it's the defense that gives it up, right? So Baker can kind of pick and choose and move down the field. So I feel like for me the Buccaneers can get this cover. I think they've made enough, strides to a certain extent, right, with their uh, development to a certain extent with the team because, uh, look, I mean, kind of Tom left him out there in the dark a little bit. They left him out there in the cold a little bit. And, it looked like it was going to be all over. And hey, it is, right? To a certain extent, it is all over for the Bucks. I mean, they're in the role of long shot underdog teams, but this defense is pretty good. And what is the what is the Bills' true problem in right now? I mean, that they're just not Kansas City, and yeah, the Miami Buffalo thing is exciting certainly, and good rivalry, and I don't know if there's I like the Dolphin team still moving forward a little bit, but You're not going to say Buffalo's done or overrated necessarily. So I'm just going to grab these points and privately, probably buy it up, make sure, like Werner, grab make sure you get over that key number there, at least a 10 or a 10.5. But I'm willing to give it out here even at 9. And I think there are 9.5s out there. Like I said, I always want to give the worst number kind of. And I'm gonna take the Bucks. Hello to Ray. Thomas, were we talking about the Bucks no playmakers or the Bills when I was asking my question what the Bills, because I believe the running game, right? Not having I think the running game for the Bills, the lack of balance, maybe it might be a little bit of their shortcoming to me. Because look, Diggs, everybody talks, great, right? To me, the Bills, uh, Gabe Davis, to me, is the underrated guy. I don't know, but he's starting to slowly get more respect around the league, around, But I think Diggs has been so spectacular for years, but Davis has been Mr. Clutch, Mr. Big TD, it seems like, at the big moments. He comes through. So Ray's with me. He's gonna take the point. I'm gonna take the points with the Bucks, and that is gonna be my play here. Maybe I could talk about some. Maybe I could talk about the trends or anything. Thomas says it's just Diggs. I don't know if that's what he means about. I think Davis is a playmaker though. Actually, I think he makes enough big plays. The Bucks, they're +7 in turnovers, so I like that about this defense. They've allowed just 9 touchdowns on 60 drives. Pretty good. The Bucks can they run the ball okay in some games, and Blake says Davis can be up and down, and it helps. I mean, what would Davis be without Diggs, right? I mean, Davis didn't come in with a lot of fanfare, or he's worked to earn what he's gotten. Uh, the Bucks have played well in a couple of road games so far this season. They won at Minnesota 20-17. Love Minnesota. You say what you want about them, but they've had their moments, and Bucks won that one. They also won 26-9 at New Orleans, and New Orleans, they were talked up a little bit early, but all of a sudden the Bucks are kind of the team. Werner, I like that. I always liked. I thought Pete Rose was underrated as a. They should. He's a little bit loopy now. So sorry, Pete. I know you're watching because Pete watches a lot of YouTube internet gambling content. He's got to fill out his gambling sheet every day. So, all right, the Bucks. So, look, they're 3-3. They look like a decent team to me, and I'm not really sold with Baker long term. I know I've been, always coming on here talking about Baker, and maybe you think I'm a big, Baker fan. Like I think that he is a, he was, basically, picked up as kind of a free agent, right? So I'm not really that big on Baker long term or anything like that. You know how the story has kind of come about this week. Like maybe Baker, this is the spot for him, right? Maybe it is. It actually looks like it kind of does fit as Baker's tried to find his way to a team that, kind of fits his personality, the type of defense that he needs to make him effective as a quarterback, right? Position football a little bit and everything like that. So, right, and there are shortcomings, Thomas says, to Baker's game, but uh, you could do worse in this league. That no doubt. Also, to note, the scores of games right now, you guys, in the league. Thursday night, it's actually very high scoring. We've talked about the prime time unders, blah blah blah, and all that. But Thursday night, actually, right now, we're seeing some high scores on Thursday night. Now, I don't know if that's necessarily, but 48.6 points per game and 4-3 to the over on the Thursday game. So uh, that's something that certainly has been um, a little bit overblown to a certain extent. Now, Monday night, there's no doubt the unders are 1-8 to the under. But just note this: so last week, we were coming off the uh, two overs, 12 unders week. Last week still was the third lowest scoring week of the season. There were 8 unders last week and 5 overs last week, but these totals have dropped massively so far this week. um, right now, you're looking at. Uh, I'm trying just to look at. I'm looking at down the list in my head here, but mostly, I mean, everything is 40ish, right? This is going to be the lowest average total of the season so far. Now, the quarterback play continues to decline. But not only there's only a few things that need to happen, and it looks like it is going to happen as we approach game regarding quarterbacks. There's not a lot of weather, but these totals could drop a little bit more, and if they do, uh, look, I did this record on yesterday. I didn't tally it up yet today, but the average point total was just over 40 points. If you added all the games up, that would be the lowest average point total heading into the week of games in 15 years. So bookmakers are expecting the lowest scoring week in 15 years. Not that that's going to happen, but if you add up the totals and you look back at the record books, at the uh, lines, this is going to be the lowest scoring week according to bookmakers. I'm not prognosticating this, and that's part of it, right? As far as the over unders are concerned, with this, what I've talked about all season long, and making sure that that uh, so far it's 61% to the under after 7 weeks, 41 overs, 64 unders, and one other to quantify a little bit, talking about the Thursday night games going over. Non-conference games so far, such as this one tonight, though, are 11 and 21 to the under. Non-conference games, 11 and 21 to the under. So we'll take Tampa Bay, though, here as my free play, but just want to get a few notes out to you, and let's see how that goes. I'm so sketchy, right? That I'll forget that I said this on the show. So let's revisit this week. And I don't know if we're seeing this talked about on too many shows. So that's why you guys come here, you guys. I'm trying to be a little bit different than every other show, and that's my little tidbit here. That's what we see with that going in. So we've seen those. So we're going to talk about a few more NFL games too in a little bit, so we can talk about the totals. I'll take Tampa Bay here. I wanted to talk more about this game, but Buffalo getting off to very slow starts. One first half touchdown in their last 15 drives over the last 3 games. So Buffalo struggling here a little bit. Now they've had some dominating defensive performances. They've allowed 3 points in a win. They've allowed 9 points in a win. Buffalo, they seem to get numbers as a favorite. 14-9. Last 23 against the spread as a home favorite. Cover against NFC teams, 13-7. Last 20 against the NFC. Buffalo, 12-7 ATS. Last 19 coming off of a loss. So some interesting numbers to think about there. All right, Buccaneers for me. Don't take first half, Bill, says Ferner. And Ferner says, here it is. We get letters. We get letters. Ramon picks too many totals. And here's Ferner says, he says, I think he's saying he'd rather play the total. And I'm on the total probably and Thomas says, I think he's talking about the scores of the week games this week. And did anybody listen to Pete Rose when he had his Pete Rose on his radio show? I don't know, 20 years ago. He should have went into gambling commentating, and I mean, he's out there schlepping, picks, schlepping autographs for $50 a pop out here in Vegas. Hi, winning wager. Nice to see you. Thomas will be with me. Bucks cover. I do think in the end we might need that 10 and a hook, but we can only pick the line, and like I said, you can probably get 9.5. Uh, you know, this is the NFL. Margins are close, and I can give specific instructions like that. And hey, if it comes up, finishes at 10 points, or we'll say, hey, we told you. Hi, Peasy. Nice to see you. Just gave out my pick on the game and uh, covered a very interesting spot with the totals. Thanks for joining us. Okay.